According to the National Centers for Environmental Information, there is a 59% chance that 2024 will be the hottest year ever recorded, with a 100% certainty that it will be among the top 5 warmest years. We now live in a world where every action we take, every drop of water we drink, essentially all the decisions we make to survive, feel like a gamble with death. That is the terrifying reality that climate change is creating. For the World Health Organization, it is not a question of if, but when millions will die from hunger, deadly diseases, and the sheer heat of our warming planet because of the effects of climate change. They estimated that it will cause approximately 250,000 deaths per year between 2030 and 2050, particularly affecting developing countries. Unfortunately, this is not a matter of bad luck, and we always talk about it like we care, yet the condition just worsens. But what is the current state of this crisis, and is there still a way to mitigate it? From 2011 to 2020, we have recorded the highest temperatures ever. And now, in the first half of 2024, the global surface temperature soared to a staggering 1.29 degrees Celsius, or 2.32 degrees Fahrenheit, above the 1901 to 2000 average of 13.5 degrees Celsius, or 56.2 degrees Fahrenheit, making it the warmest period in a 175-year record. Over countless generations, things were pretty steady, but then, as civilization progressed, we started burning more coal and oil for energy. This creates gases that trap heat, act like a blanket around the Earth, and induce high temperatures. The result is climate change, which we are currently experiencing due to shifts in temperature and weather patterns. To grasp the discomfort of a warming planet, imagine sweltering in a thick coat during the height of summer. The United Nations states that climate scientists have demonstrated that human activities are almost entirely to blame for global warming over the past 200 years. Because it is now 1.2 degrees Celsius, hotter than it was before the Industrial Revolution. That might not sound like much, but it hasn't been this warm in 100,000 years. As we know, climate change is an interconnected issue, so when one part is affected, everything else is impacted, mainly us, humans who rely on the Earth's natural systems to support our lives. So it is not surprising if this would lead to bigger concerns, such as environmental problems. According to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, rising temperatures are intensifying and extending heat waves, creating serious health risks, particularly for children and the elderly. Climate change is also degrading air and water quality, spreading diseases, and escalating the frequency and intensity of extreme weather events. Coastal regions and ecosystems face threats from rising sea levels, while altered rainfall patterns and disrupted water flows impact water resources and hydropower generation. As climates shift, plants and animals struggle to adapt, leading to changes in habitats and life cycles. The increasing frequency of extreme weather events, like heat waves, droughts, and floods, is causing significant economic losses and societal disruptions. Moreover, let's dive into some critical climate facts from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change that tackle its impact. In 2019, the global average temperature was 1.1 degrees Celsius, above pre-industrial levels, marking a decade of extreme heat, melting ice, and record sea levels due to human-induced greenhouse gases. That year also saw a peak in greenhouse gas emissions, reaching 59.1 gigatons of carbon dioxide equivalent. With current global commitments being insufficient, there's a real risk that emissions could rebound, potentially hitting up to 60 gigatons by 2030, especially if high carbon activities increase again post-pandemic. Additionally, 30% of the world's population now faces deadly heat waves for more than 20 days each year. The Greenlee Institute warns of intensifying global temperatures, as they state that the Earth's average temperature will likely surpass the previous 5-year record, 2017 to 2021, in the current 5-year period, 2022 to 2026. In their projection, there is a nearly 50% chance of global temperatures exceeding the critical 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold during this time frame. China is bracing for increasingly severe and prolonged heat waves as climate change accelerates. The United States experienced an exceptionally hot start as its average temperatures for the January to June period soared to 50.9 degrees Fahrenheit, above the historical average in 1901 to 2000. India is grappling with an unprecedented heat wave, with temperatures soaring to record-breaking levels just last May 2024. Europe is projected to experience a rise in temperatures, with some areas facing intensified droughts, while others grapple with increased rainfall. Indonesia's climate performance has declined significantly, dropping 10 spots to rank 36th in the Climate Change Performance Index because of its inadequate climate policies and high greenhouse gas emissions. Russia is heating up at an alarming rate, almost twice as fast as the global average. While lastly, Brazil's Pantanal wetlands endured a catastrophic fire season in 2024, which was exacerbated because of climate change. There are findings from the IPCC that show its possible effects on the world as a whole. One of these is that temperature changes will vary significantly by region. Increased temperatures are more likely to be greater on land than over oceans, and greater at high latitudes than in the tropics and mid-latitudes. An example would be Canada, which experienced a significantly warmer than average winter in 2023 and 2024, with most regions registering temperatures 4.0 degrees Celsius above normal. Another part of this dramatic change would be the precipitation patterns. Some areas will experience heavier rainfall, increasing the risk of flooding, while others will face prolonged droughts that threaten water security and agricultural productivity. Brazil's rainfall intensified far beyond historical records due to climate change, while Spain is on track to become a drought-stricken nation by 2050. Sadly, our oceans are also under tremendous strain. Sea levels are rising rapidly due to melting glaciers and ice sheets, putting coastal cities and communities at risk of flooding and erosion. Additionally, ocean acidification from absorbed carbon dioxide threatens marine ecosystems, especially coral reefs and shellfish. Scientists predict sea levels could rise by 0.25 to 0.30 meters by 2050. If greenhouse gas emissions continue at the current rate, sea levels could increase by as much as 1.1 meters by the end of the century. According to the World Economic Forum, some examples of countries experiencing continual sinking include Bangkok, Thailand, which is sinking at an alarming rate of over 1 centimeter annually and could potentially be submerged below sea level by 2030, and Venice, Italy, which is also gradually subsiding at a slower pace of 0.08 inches per year. Climate change is indeed a global challenge, but did you know that the distribution of greenhouse gas emissions is uneven? The 7 largest emitters, China, the United States, India, the European Union, Indonesia, Russia, and Brazil, collectively contributed to nearly half of global emissions in 2020. This disparity underscores the principle of differentiated responsibilities, wherein nations with higher emissions bear a greater obligation to mitigate climate change. Knowing these happenings around the world, we must now know that immediate and drastic actions are imperative because they have severe effects on every aspect. Climate change is a complex challenge that demands a multifaceted approach. Despite a growing number of nations pledging to achieve net zero emissions by 2050, a 50% reduction in emissions by 2030 is necessary to limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. This requires a substantial phase-out of fossil fuels, with over 2/3 of existing reserves remaining untapped. In the analysis of the United Nations, they explained that a consensus among thousands of scientists and government experts, based on multiple assessments, underscores the criticality of limiting the global temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius to avert catastrophic climate impacts. However, the current policy trajectory indicates a far more severe warming of approximately 3 degrees Celsius by the century's end. To achieve that, one of the major solutions was to utilize technologies of the present time, and as indicated by the World Economic Forum, here are the most useful tools. Artificial intelligence. AI can be used to analyze vast amounts of climate data to predict extreme weather events and assess risks. This information can be used to develop early warning systems and evacuation plans. Drones. Drones can be deployed to collect real-time data on wildfires, floods, and other climate disasters. This data can be used to monitor the situation and guide emergency response efforts. Earth observation. Earth observation satellites provide valuable data on changes in the environment, such as rising sea levels and deforestation. This data is crucial for understanding climate risks and developing adaptation strategies. Advanced computing. Advanced computing power allows for the development of complex climate models that can simulate future climate scenarios. This information can be used to inform decision-making on adaptation strategies. The Internet of Things. IoT sensors can be used to monitor environmental conditions in real time, such as temperature, humidity, and water levels. This data can be used to identify areas at risk of climate hazards and trigger early warnings. Moreover, a historic milestone in green transportation was achieved in July this year, as the world's first hydrogen-powered passenger ferry began operations in San Francisco Bay. This innovative vessel marks a significant step towards decarbonizing the maritime industry and reducing air pollution. Meanwhile, system applications and products in data processing recommend using elevator generators to capture energy from braking elevators and convert it into electricity. Direct air capture technology to extract carbon dioxide directly from the surrounding air, providing a method to remove this greenhouse gas from the atmosphere, regenerative agriculture to promote sustainability, and many more technologies aimed at reducing energy consumption and promoting the use of biodegradable materials. In 2010, the technology mechanism was established to enhance climate technology efforts globally. It includes two main components: the Technology Executive Committee, TEC, and the Climate Technology Center and Network, CTCN. The TEC acts as the policy-making body, analyzing technology issues and offering recommendations to support climate technology advancements. Composed of 20 experts from both developing and developed nations, it addresses topics like technology financing, barriers, and innovation. The CTCN, hosted by the United Nations Environment Program and the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, focuses on implementing climate technology solutions. It offers technical assistance, provides access to climate technology knowledge, and promotes collaboration among stakeholders. With over 150 global partner organizations, the CTCN has responded to more than 100 requests from developing countries for support in both mitigation and adaptation. Examples include helping Bhutan cut greenhouse gas emissions from public transport and assisting Namibia with a water harvesting strategy. Of course, we have prominent international frameworks like the Sustainable Development Goals, the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, and the Paris Agreement that provide a roadmap for global action. These frameworks outline key strategies, including emissions reduction, climate adaptation, and financial investment. Specifically, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, established in 1994, aims to prevent dangerous human interference with the climate system. It is the foundational climate treaty aiming to prevent catastrophic climate change. It also establishes a global framework for addressing greenhouse gas emissions, with developed countries taking the lead, and promotes financial and technological support for developing nations. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development underscores the commitment of members to protect the planet and address climate change urgently. It identifies climate change as a major challenge that hampers global efforts to achieve sustainable development. Key issues like rising temperatures, sea levels, and ocean acidification are particularly threatening to coastal regions, especially in least developed countries and small island developing states, putting their survival and vital ecosystems at risk. Sustainable Development Goal 13 calls for urgent action to combat climate change and its effects, recognizing the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change as the main international platform for global climate negotiations. This SDG focuses on integrating climate change measures into national policies, enhancing education and awareness, and improving institutional capacities for mitigation, adaptation, and impact reduction. It also emphasizes fulfilling commitments made under the UNFCCC and strengthening climate planning and management in vulnerable countries. The Paris Agreement, established by countries in 2015, marks a significant step forward in global climate action. It emphasizes the urgent need for climate technology development and transfer. The agreement integrates the technology mechanism as a crucial part of its implementation and calls for its enhancement. This includes a focus on advancing technology research, development, and demonstration, as well as building local capacities and technologies. Let's take time to zoom out for a while. To solve this problem efficiently, we must find out what is mainly making it a giant. And the answer lies in fossil fuels, which, as reported by the United Nations, account for over 75% of global greenhouse gas emissions and almost 90% of all carbon dioxide emissions. In the wise words of their Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, it's time to stop burning our planet and start investing in the abundant renewable energy all around us. The renewable energy he is referring to is all around us: the wind, water, sun, and waste provided by nature, which emit little to no pollutants. Achieving net zero emissions is a good goal, but it's unrealistic to expect a complete cessation of carbon-intensive activities across the globe. The interconnectedness of our global economy and the basic needs of billions necessitate a more pragmatic approach, like policy changes, lifestyle adjustments, and international cooperation. Building resilience to climate impacts through adaptation is crucial to protecting lives, infrastructure, and ecosystems. Prioritizing vulnerable communities with limited resources is essential. Early warning systems, for example, demonstrate the potential for significant returns on investment, saving lives and property. The impact of activism is undeniable. Anyone armed with knowledge and passion can be a powerful catalyst for change. It shines a spotlight on environmental issues, urging governments and corporations to prioritize sustainability. It fosters a sense of community and empowers individuals to be part of the solution. By bridging the gap between science and society, activism drives innovation and accelerates the transition to a greener world. Join organizations like the World Wildlife Fund, WWF. They are championing crucial U.S. policies to safeguard nature. Their agenda includes renewing and expanding vital conservation programs, reducing plastic waste through stronger regulations, and boosting financial support for biodiversity conservation. It is also advocating for sustainable forestry practices to protect our forests and working to cut food waste across the supply chain. Mainly, they aim to address pressing environmental challenges and drive impactful change for a healthier planet. The key here is through environmental activism, which is the heartbeat of our planet's defense. It's about people standing up for nature, demanding change, and ensuring a sustainable future. From local cleanup efforts to global campaigns, activists ignite a fire within communities, inspiring action and accountability. We are warned of worsening droughts, water shortages, destructive wildfires, rising sea levels, frequent flooding, melting polar ice, devastating storms, and declining biodiversity. These projections are not just guesses. They are based on thorough scientific analysis and serve as a serious warning about the consequences of inaction. We know the steps of big organizations. How about ours? The choices we make now will shape the future for generations to come. We often feel powerless against climate change, but the Grantham Institute reminds us that even little changes can make a difference. It's about making your voice heard by those in charge, eating smarter, and being mindful of your daily habits. Start cutting back on flights and driving to save energy and support eco-friendly businesses. Learn to appreciate nature and reduce waste. As we end, be reminded that the fate of our planet rests in our hands. We've seen the overwhelming scientific evidence, the devastating global impacts, the promising solutions, and the urgent need for collective action. It's time to transform this knowledge into meaningful change. By investing in resilience, embracing innovation, and demanding bold policies, we can protect countless lives and secure a sustainable future. Thank you for watching.